This is Mike Commodore. You're listening to Missin Curfew.
What's Missin Curfew? It's when you kind of play guilty, but you show up.
How nice is a green light on the road, though? No practice tomorrow, no plane, just go.
Scotty Upshaw in the clear, and he scores! Right in front, scores!
A few laughs, a little bit of fun, and obviously a lot of hockey talk.
You're listening to Missin Curfew.
Fellas, coming to you from Newport Beach, half the squad at Hall Pass Media. The big Obes is at home, flu game, NJ style, but we got myself, Jay Swish, and the Updog in studio. Boys, good to see ya. It has been a long couple days for the big fella. I'm over here I'm sweating it out finally, so I think that's good. I just got back from the urgent care, but it's been a couple tough days here, boys.
How you feeling, big fella, first of all? You got the IV bag yesterday, urgent care today. The pickleball match is going to have to wait. We miss you over here. We missed the captain sitting, right at 12 o'clock. But you all right up there?
Buddy, I needed an IV. I don't know if you remember the guy, Sean, who came in. Shout out to
Oh, yeah, great
Sean.
Great guy.
So I couldn't get out of bed. I mean, just to go piss or puke, but I was down and out. And he came over yesterday and gave me an IV that kind of got me at least going. And then I thought today I'd bounce back, but I didn't. So I went over to urgent care and I got everything she would give me. She's trying to be stingy. I'm like, I need something for the pain. I need something for the, it's really it's aches are killing me. She's like, well, how much some ibuprofen? How much some ibuprofen? Throw me something here, sweetheart. So I finally got that from her, but she was being chintzy, boys.
Obes, one thing is for sure, we'll pull the weight here for you, bud. We'll pull the weight. I will say this, 4 or 5 years in here, this might be the first one you've missed sitting in studio, bud. Like, this is I know you're still rocking and rolling as sick as a dog, but
no,
this might be the first one you haven't made it in the studio for.
I think I missed a call. I think I did a couple via Zoom.
Yeah, I don't know.
When the studio wasn't up and running, but
yeah, definitely. I will say this, definitely coming in here today with no fucking the big fella just sitting here slapping the shit with. It's a little different, but Schmaltzy, it's up to us to bring it from Hall Pass here, buddy. It's on us here today. So let's give him what we can, fella.
Yeah, we will, man. I mean, they say in Slapshot, is the answer Jesus? But they got us right here, snapping around. So the big fella, we can carry the weight. We can play more minutes. Maybe we were playing 18 before Uppy. Now we're called upon to play 20 plus, baby. So let's go. Let's see what we'll show. Maybe we're getting power play time here.
Well, speaking of that, you guys can handle the minutes because you guys have just been on a fucking workout clinic, huh?
Oh yeah.
Every time I check my phone, you're either the fact that you got Dunker to play tennis is fucking hilarious. You can count on that guy being at Big Canyon though. If you need someone to be at Big Canyon, Dunker will be there. And by the way, you should see him play pickleball, Jay Swish. Oh. He is fucking nasty at pickleball, Dunker. He has this long arm of the law, and his serve is just lethal.
Oh, I mean, it was insane yesterday, Obi. We were playing against him, and we were playing doubles is a lot different than singles, as you know. And we're playing Dunker, and he's at the net. His net game is insane. I finally looked at him. I'm like, dude, fuck off. Like, how do you know where it's going every time? And he's just like, because I do. And I'm like, well, can you teach me that? He's like, no. I'm like, why? He's like, you don't have the experience. I'm like, oh, fair enough. So he was mopping me at the net. It was insane.
Obes, I will say this. When I text, when you hit us early, we just got out of yoga. Fuck, it was the 6:15 class.
Wow, I was
like a dog.
I saw your picture after.
Sweat like a dog, went for a coffee, and then, you sent us the text, not feeling good, boys. Got to postpone the pickleball. We kind of sat there looking at each other like, well, what do we do? And I'm thinking, well, you guys are tennis players anyway, so let me see if I can gather one of the tennis legends around.
Get a ringer.
So I hit him up, Obes. I hit up Dunker. He's on the golf course. He's going out to play a quick 9, emergency 9 in the morning. And it just so happened he's like, hell yeah, I'll come join you boys.
Yeah.
And then we get
Big Canyon.
Yeah.
Is that Big Canyon every day?
Every day. I'm like, he's got a nice little program. But anyway, so I hit him up. He's out there battling through a rough knee. He's got a little procedure to clean it up, but he's out there, a little swollen knee, throwing fucking slice serves and some pallet. But you're right. The forehand volley at the net, even when you throw him one low, it's just, he's got that move that's just trickery.
Yeah, and when he really wanted to just fuck around and actually we weren't able to hit a return shot on us, he had so much jizz on that ball. I mean, it was straight Johnny Sins. It was insane. Like, his serve, Obes, wasn't hard at all, and he wasn't even really hitting it, but it had so much spin, and it would just like die right at that triangle of the back line in the box there. He was sick. It was a lot of fun to even just pick his brain and, talk to him. He's obviously a legend in the tennis world. I think he said his highest ranking was 35th in doubles.
35th. Yep. Yeah, he did go on to say, like, when you get in that, it wasn't for the money back then. He traveled the world playing tennis.
Yep.
But as his like ranking, he could go beat like the 10, 15, rank guy, but then he'll lose to like the 100th, 115th guy. And that just puts you in this, like, what the fuck are we doing out here? Right? Like,
Yeah.
this isn't perfect. I got to figure out what's going on. And being from Orange County, I think it made it easy to transition out of that.
Yeah.
But one thing I realized is that our game doesn't look as good on camera as it does live. Like live, I mean, you guys are hitting some good forehands back there. I thought getting my serves in, it was some high quality first serve percentage on the up dog's part.
Yes.
But you and the Heat Daddy from the baseline, those forehands, I mean, it's pretty solid. Princey, what did you think, by the way? You got your mic on back there? Like, you videotaped the whole thing. What do you think of the boys?
Pretty decent athletes, I'd say.
Right?
I didn't realize who Dunk was until you guys explained who he was, and then Schmaltzy got me kind of watching him. He was just calling out positions. He was even telling Schmaltzy where to go when you were playing against him. So
Yeah.
Good showing, boys. A good little piece of content. Glad you gave me the call, Uppy.
Yeah, I mean, just lastly on that, it was hilarious too, the video we posted, because like you said, it didn't look that great. We're getting chirped by Flowers in the section, in the comment.
We could chirp him.
JD was in there too. He's like, "Oh, I could take Swish." I'm like, "Anytime, anywhere, fella, as long as there's a camera on, because I'm not playing you, and that says that the lights are on." So we'll see.
No, but that's the reason Dunker's nasty at pickleball is because he doesn't have to run with that wonky wheel.
Yep.
And buddy, his angles and his slice shots, and when he gets to the net with those long arms, he's unbeatable at pickleball. I mean, I played against him a few times, and even when he plays the big boys at Big Canyon, like he's next level.
Yeah, it was sick. He was like chirping me before I was even hitting a shot. He's like, "You ready for this, Jordan?" I'm like, "How do you even know where it's going?" He's like, "Gucci hadn't even served yet." He's like, "You ready for this?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. Are you ready for my shit too?"
He loves giving tips. Like we played one day with Getzlav, and he kept giving Getsy tips. And Getsy's like, "What the fuck is going on with this guy?" I'm like, "Well, he did play in Wimbledon, Getz. Like he doesn't know what he's talking about." But he's like, every time I come back here, he's giving me some kind of tip. And then one time I was playing with Brian Gale. Gale's like, "Yeah, Dunker, I'll be your partner, but you give me one fucking tip or you're out of here."
Yeah, he was the tip jar. He was for sure.
He likes to give a nice tip.
Yeah. 20% gratuity for sure.
What did you think of Big Canyon, fella? What was your first impression of the pool?
Did you guys bring the whole Did you bring the whole camera crew right to the tennis court?
No, we just had Princey. Listen, I knew Princey was at his hotel. I hit him up. I said, "Fella, like boys just did an audible tennis match over at Big Canyon. It's 5 minutes from your hotel. Pop over, say what's up." He's like, "Should I bring the camera?" I said, "No, your phone's fine, but just come and shoot the shit. We'll be here for a couple hours." So it worked out. Perfect.
Big fella.
I will say this, Jay Swish, having you in town, Uppy's created more content in 2 days than he has in the last fucking 2 years. So we might have to bring you in more. Might have to bring you in more to motivate him. And by the way, these workouts you guys are doing, like, I mean, are you making a comeback? Are you thinking about it? Like,
What do you think?
I know Uppy just played another alumni game. Swishy, I saw you in Aspen. Like, these workouts, boys, I wasn't doing that when they were paying me to do that. I'm impressed, Swishy. You're a machine.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a daily occurrence over here, Obi. I always say if there's someone willing to offer me 7 figures in a different league, I'm open to it, right? It's got to be 7, though, so it's either got to be Rush or the National League. I can still run a power play, I think, in any league other than the NHL. Obviously, not that league, but who knows, O's? My phone lines are open here as a People's Insider.
By the way, I got a lick of it Sunday, so I mean, hey, you want to go get a deal? I'll split the contract with you. Let's go 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
See who's in, Charlestown Chiefs. Whoever needs us, bud, we'll come in hot.
Little package deal. Maybe we go mix it up.
What
in
did
like
you think today?
lava.
I took him to Moxie. We did a little leg day, but it wasn't easy. But a lot of effort, good music.
Why?
Okay.
Leg day.
We were gonna go follow up a 6:15 hot yoga Pilates session with another one because of certain just a good atmosphere.
Let's say the clientele.
The clientele. But you were like, maybe we just go old school. I'll get a little like hit sweat in, right?
All right.
Yep.
I want to talk about this yoga going for the clientele Swish. As a young single guy,
Yep.
You go into a yoga class, you sweat your balls off in front of everyone, and then how do you chat them up afterwards? Like when you're stretching and doing downward dog, you're like, "Hey, babe, good work today," or like you're all sweaty, you're all greased up. Like, how does it work as a single guy in a yoga class? Can you pick up a conversation after you're done sweating all over the place, just pure toxic waste coming out?
Well, Obs, you make a great point. And the short answer is probably you're not going to get it done in that studio. Now, if you go out to the front where everyone's kind of mingling, you're grabbing your wallet, you're grabbing your keys. It's maybe, hey, great class. I loved you in Warrior 3 there. I thought you had really good form. What are you doing later? What are you doing later? Or maybe what are you doing later this week? Are you coming in again to the studio? Do you want to grab a coffee? Like, what's your story here? So I think it's a play where you're setting yourself up for further in the week. Coming out of there with, a bunch of sweat on your body and just, gross toxins from the weekend of 60 tequilas, you're probably not going to get something done. But I do think just to stage something later in the week, Obes, for a weekend play, say you're there on a Tuesday, that's where you're going and really, investing, if you will.
How about you just let the breathing do the talking?
I heard you grunting over there.
Let
the
flexibility do the chatting. All right, let's go and you get your head between your legs there. Hey,
hey, how are you? What are you? Or when the teacher comes over and she's like, can I give you a massage? Like, yeah, I was a little growing.
I do offer a little stretch for the.
Yeah, all rub, no tug.
Yeah, all rub. Yeah. No, it's a good close style. It's not so much picking up the chicks as it is just getting in there, getting a high quality sweat.
People are
like my dad leaving. We had coffee after, but I'm like, I don't get a sweat like that doing anything else.
Yes,
and I feel when you do sweat like that, you feel like your body needs to somehow detoxify doing something.
I always call hot yoga is nature's demon locker. You just go, you just go sweat out all the toxins in there. Because I think you do sweat more in there than a sauna, unless you obviously do movement in the sauna. But there, man, it's like, what is coming out of my body here? Then you're ready to go again.
The bare necessities.
You're playing the long game. You're playing the long game at yoga. You're playing the long game. I like that.
Yeah,
I respect that. I used to play the long game a lot. That was my bread and butter. Like, go to Coachella, couple numbers. Play the long game.
Yeah.
Done by the summer's over. I got you. So you're playing the long game. I respect that.
Yeah. So fellas that listen out there, even maybe the couple chicks, this is our Andrew Huberman part of the podcast, as our health benefit.
It is.
Go try hot yoga. It's good, baby.
By our friends at Life Force.
There you go.
Get it in you and sweat it out.
I mean, the workout stuff you guys have been on has been next level. Have you been doing any fucking boozing at all? Switch you with a heat daddy. Has there been any drinking or?
Yeah, no drinking, no fucking. We've struck out so far, but it is Thursday night. It is ladies' night. We're going to go to the Ducks game for a little bit. And then tonight, I think, is where we blow the top off it. Because we were kind of waiting to see if we were going to play pickle, what was going on. Last night, we went to a restaurant, sat in the bar, had 3 to 5 drinks with our good friend and the crispiest clip cutter in the league, Mark Prince. So we sat there till about 10 o'clock. And I was gassed, Obes. I mean, we were up at 5 a.m. doing fucking hot yoga. Then we played tennis. I was juiced.
Yeah, I bet. I was tired watching you. Hey, where was that? Where was that dispensary? Where was that dispensary that Heat Daddy found there?
Oh, man.
High C or high class or high?
Yeah, high C's. It was like right down the street from the nicest Buffalo Wild Wings I've ever seen. So I think it was like Costa Mesa, maybe. I don't know. The Taj Mahal of B-dubs, it was a stone's throw away from there. But how about Richie's, lastly, just on the workouts? How about Richie's text in our group chat for Missin Curfew? Holy fuck, you looking to make a comeback? You could a European push?
He's texting me on the side. He's like, "Is this Upshaw and Smartsy making a comeback? Or all they're doing is playing tennis, working out, doing hot yoga?" I'm like, I don't know. There's got to be a method to the madness, boys. There's more to it than what the surface shows.
I can just picture Richie Babe just shaking his head. He's like, "Look at these fucking heroes." It's just so fun. I saw that text. I was like, "Fucking rights." Oh, that's good shit.
Yeah, you are the best. You take care of yourself more than any podcaster in the game. So good on you.
Yep.
Sorry I missed you all week, buddy, but like I said, way to pump the content out. Updog, did you grab that Game 7 hat from Mess there off the Sprinter van or what?
Yeah, no, listen, Obes, he came into the room, and I was just fortunate to be on his squad, but he came in the room with a big old box and fired some hats around to the fellas, fired a couple sweatshirts, and I mean, it's a pretty solid quality Bucky. What do you think? It looks good, right? Game 7? It's pretty solid. Yeah. Well fit. Solid. I'm not going to wear this one to the gym. I ruined my Utah hockey hat today. She's just silk, but this one,
I'm actually going to talk to you boys about the Utah Hockey Club here. I watched them play this week. I'm kind of on board with what I saw. So I do want to talk to you boys about the Utah Hockey Club. But boys, moving forward here, thanks for picking up the slack for me at Hall Pass Media, boys. I wish to be in there with you. I just didn't want to get anyone sick. You don't want this. You don't want this shit, Dewey. This has been fucking. I was down and out bad. I gotta give some love to my girl, Mac Miller. It's nice I've never had a girl with me while I was sick. It's nice to have a nurse there taking care of you. I'm not gonna lie to you, boys.
Yeah, it's nice to have a Darnell for sure. It can get you the Pedialyte. Yeah. You know what I mean? Get you everything. Get the little Darnell nurse. Just the bare essentials. Look at that. There you go. Yeah. Thanks for doing that, by the way, Obes. You don't need to bring that. You don't want any of this, Dewey. You don't want this shit.
You don't want any of this shit. I wouldn't want Bob Hartley to have this flu. It was fucking gnarly, man. I couldn't move, boys. It was bad. But anyways, moving on here. showbiz does not sleep, like fucking Jay Swish always says. Matty and Brady Tkachuk are up to it again. They went on the New Heights podcast with the Kelsey boys. I mean, what these guys are doing for the game is unbelievable, and just how much the Kelsey boys loved it. Like, loved the fighting, obviously, and just those two brothers talking to the legends of South boys. It's just another check mark for the game. But when I saw those boys on there and the Kelsey brothers loving it as much as they did, I mean, it was just a home run. And these Tkachuks, everything they do right now is just gold, baby.
Yeah, it was cool. And obviously the Kelsey brothers are from just outside of Cleveland Heights, shout out. So they were hockey players growing up, Obes. They obviously love the game. They're football players, but these dudes did grow up playing hockey. So it's cool when you get that collab, man. That was one thing I was like, when I was breaking into the National League and Nick was playing in Chicago and I was playing a little bit in St. Louis, I was like, fuck, this is like the coolest thing ever. Obviously didn't last on the level of the Tkachuks or the Kelseys, but it's just cool to just share that with your brother. And I just thought that 4-ball of them just teeing it up, on that Zoom call and coming on in the episode was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think, you guys just touched it. It's the perfect time for hockey to take the next step. And the next step is for our athletes to go showcase just personalities, get seen on, maybe one of them goes out and dates a, world-class musician. That would help. That would help the game.
Right. But they're both restricted now, but
they're restricted. Yeah. But even just, I mean, we got Jack Hughes, right? We got a couple of the young boys that we expect to really take the game to the next level, their game off the ice. And, no, it's good. I mean, Jimmy Fallon, it's just little steps for the game and its players in the right way. But these Americans, I mean, you got to take advantage while the iron's hot, right? You want to see Canada, the Canadian guys do the same thing. But at the same time, it's going to be crunch time, playoffs here around the corner that, let's focus on the big prize, the Stanley Cup. But this is they should be doing a little tour celebrating.
That's a good point by you. Have the Canadian guys been doing their part? Have you, besides John Cooper, have you seen anyone else from Canada doing anything like this? Like, I know it's different because down in the States, there's way more bigger platforms and the Tkachuks are American-born players. But, like, you think the Canadians have done enough of following through with arguably the best tournament since 2010?
Probably not enough, Phobes. I would say Binner's done. He went on overdrive with the boys, but that should be standard.
Yep.
I think Binner should be on overdrive once a month, maybe once a week.
Yeah. Like
some guys should. Yeah. And we have the open invitation here. Any young pups want to come on and shoot the shit with us to showcase personalities, whatever the case may be. But Obes, you're right. It's a time where hockey players, and it should be promoted by the team, by the league, by their player, but by their by their co-stars, the other players being like, hey, by the way, boys, you were great on McAfee the other day. You should do that a lot. Like, you should, why not?
Yeah.
It's just weird. Like, you're almost looked down upon if you're doing media stunts. And I get there's a time and a place for everything, but for our game and to grow it, you need the star players to probably have one guy have a podcast or a couple guys do, like the association. I'm not saying you got to do it every week, Obes, but if you popped on to a McAfee once a month, or you had your own pod where you kind of told stories where it's just not the standard, media outlets. Why is that something that hockey guys just haven't got around to?
Yeah, and like, Nathan McKinnon was the MVP of the tournament. I don't know if I've seen him do one, interview or anything, or Sidney Crosby. I haven't seen Sid do anything. It's like, I get it. They let their play do the talking. But like Uppy said, right now where hockey is and the momentum that we've got going, maybe we don't have to worry about that in Canada, but they could still be coming on stuff down the States. They could be doing McAfee and stuff like that. I don't know if they have the invitation, but I'm sure if they reached out to try to do it, just because you have so much momentum right now, the Tkachuks are doing an unbelievable job. And you would think if you were McKinnon and Crosby and the rest of the boys, you'd want some action and talk about how good of a tournament it was.
Obes, two things. One being McKinnon's interview after on ESPN, I thought was incredible after they won. It was the best I've seen. It was the best I've seen Nathan McKinnon ever, how laid back he is. We all know McKinnon is he's a diehard hockey guy. Yep. You're not going to get much out of him until he won the ultimate Stanley Cup. And even still, it's hard to get his personality. I thought his interview was fantastic. And then two is, do you think in the NFL players looked at Kelsey like the day after they lose the Super Bowl, he's on his pod and he's kind of throwing his heart into like the loss. But do you think like internally players look at that and they're like, really, like Kelsey's going to go on the pod like the next day? Like, do you think any of his teammates do that? Because to your point, hockey guys would judge. They're like, the culture is like, Really, the guy's going to go do that the day after they lose the national, the Four Nations Cup? Like, they just got beat by Canada. Now you're going to go on Jimmy Fallon on a little tour? Like, I see both, but I'm wondering, does the NFL players judge each other, or do they just know, like, this is how our fucking game snowballs? Is our guys need to showcase this?
Well, I mean, it's the entertainment business, and Kelsey, I think, has earned that right to do it because he's won, and he's a veteran in the game. So I think if you had a star player in hockey with that magnitude and that influence, why not? Because it's going to put money in all of our pockets. It's the trickle-down effect is real. And to grow the game in this country, we need our stars out there. Why doesn't McDavid pop on Pat McAfee for 10 minutes and just talk to him? Why not? I mean, a lot of people that watch hockey in the U.S. and especially these southern states, they don't even know who McDavid is. They're like, oh yeah, that one hockey guy in Edmonton. It's like they couldn't even name him. They've heard obviously what he is and he's the best player, but they couldn't separate the shit from the stink.
Yeah, I would say, so Obes, before you can jump in after this, is Matty Tkachuk's done a lot for hockey, probably more than any player in the last 2 years. He's been to the Stanley Cup final twice. He arguably was the most effective guy in the complete series for Florida in year one. Year two, he wins it, so he's a Stanley Cup champ. Now what he did at Four Nations with letting the cameras and the world into him and his dad and his brother and their life, it's amazing. So I could arguably say Matty Tkachuk should be the one on tour, which he is. Unfortunately he's injured, but I think it's fantastic. And Obes, you think the Tkachuk brothers are most unbelievable duo right now in hockey, and you're not wrong. I think it should be looked at as a little tour right now, a celebratory tour of what the Four Nations Cup was. I think it's great.
Yeah, and I'll be what you're talking about is like that's the old school mentality of hockey, right? Like, oh, should I go on a podcast the next day? Like, we just lost, and I'm like, and that's how we were ingrained when we played. Like, oh, you don't want to say too much or do this, and guys will judge you. But nowadays, and all the momentum that they had because of that Four Nations, I'm glad Maddie and Brady are doing it. I wish Connor and I wish Nate, I wish Sid would have done a bit more here after the week of it. The only Canadian guy really going out and saying stuff is PK. PK's everywhere. He's letting people know what he thinks. So good on PK. But I just want to, once again, like you said, up dog, Brady Tkachuk and Matty Tkachuk, good on you boys. Keep selling the game. And I would encourage the Canadian guys to do the same. But and moving on, boys, here with a little intro. I've been sick as a dog, as you boys know. So I've been watching some hockey, and Full Swing is back, the Netflix documentary. The first one was all about Happy Gilmore 2, boys. Adam Sandler has all the boys in there. Bryson, Brooks Koepka, Scheffler, Rory. It's probably going to be awful, but at least he's got all the big dogs in there from the LIV and the PGA Tour. Adam Sandler wants to bring the golf back together, boys. If Adam Sandler and the Trumper they can do it. But Sandler looks pretty old, boys. I'm not going to lie. He looks pretty weathered.
How old is this Sam, man?
Happy learned how to putt.
He's not quite getting back as far. Fucking, don't I know that feeling?
Do you think the young pups all know Happy Gilmore? Like, just to put it into perspective, do you think the young guys in the NHL all watch Happy Gilmore?
I hope so.
Like, do you think Max Homa grew up watching it? Like, he's
he's like probably my age. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, good, because that's important. Second, I think just having a cast of both like the new age golfers, Obes, this is good. I think it's good for the movie. I don't think it's going to suck as bad as people think. I think there's going to be some good humor. What I read originally is that he's kind of done with like some of the, let's just quotation it, woke comedy, and he's bringing it back. So I'm hoping that it's going to be some raw, like just old school shit come out. I think that's what the people need, and I think that's what sells. Sex.
I saw two fat naked bikers. I was 17. I'm sex. How am I supposed to chip? What's that going on?
Is he going to bring back the caddy too and just choke him out on the green side? Like I need to see that.
Dude, he's got a sick fucking tour Subway bag. So his bag is legit with the Subway logo on the side. It's like new age. It looks from the behind the scenes. I saw them shooting it. It looks pretty legit on like the quality of the golf stuff that they have in it. Like, it's not like he has that old shitty fucking bag with his caddy with one shoe on. It was more like new age tour guys in there playing against the tour guys, like in the actual tournaments, like Justin Thomas and Scotty Scheffler, like playing against these guys. And they're all wearing the gold jacket, right? They're all wearing the gold jacket. So it seemed like it had potential. Now, Updog, I hope you're right, fella. I hope it doesn't suck. But I it's just been so long, but I really hope it doesn't suck.
Has there ever been a 2 in terms of a movie that's been good? maybe Hangover. You look at Slapshot 2, brutal. Caddyshack 2, not perfect. Has there ever been like a remake that's you're like, wow, Dumb and Dumber 2, not great either. Like
Awful. I got one for you. Major League 2.
Major League 2? Okay.
It's a pretty good movie.
Okay.
I mean, not as good as the original one, but I would put it like in the category of decent, like different, decent.
because that's all you
Bad
need.
Boys too?
Bad Boys 2, yeah,
I like
really good.
Bad Boys 2.
Really good.
What about
Big fucking eyes,
This is really
but a nice fucking fish.
nice fucking
A nice fucking fish. Fucking eyes.
imagine how he felt there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're a couple Quaaludes there. Hey, not bad. Catch a buzz.
And the last Bad Boys was good. You guys see the last one? The last one was actually really good too.
I did not. No, I'm going to have to throw on.
Yeah, it's not bad because I believe there's 4 of them, right? The third one was awful, and then the last one was really, really, really well done. It was unreal.
Rush Hour 2 as well.
Ace Ventura too. Not bad. When nature calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, when nature calls. Chicago, gotcha. He's like, excuse me, your balls are short. Bumblebee tuna.
Oh, man. And remember they were doing that? Was it the first season when they showed Kepka's house and he had the swing suit or the swing set in the bathroom? We're like, holy fuck. Who's getting tied up in air?
Well, when you build a big house like that, you got to have some sort of room like that.
Yeah, don't do it.
You can't just have 10 bedrooms.
No.
I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
I just think these guys-
To the puck.
I mean, they do a hell of a job on that full swing though. Like I wish we could get a little bit more behind the scenes with NHL stuff like that. Like they do a real good job of following these guys to dinners and jumping on the bird with them and going to their house and stuff. Like I wish the NHL could do more of that stuff, Jay Swish.
Oh, it's the best. I just go back to even like me growing up watching hockey and those HBO 24/7s were so sick. Like the Rangers getting on the bird right at LaGuardia is ingrained in my head. Obes of Midnight City playing by, what's that band that sings that song? Midnight City? M83. Oh my God. And Hank Lundqvist with his flow getting off the jet. I mean, that if they could somehow replicate 24/7 again, like that was always the coolest things, especially for the kids, man. And it's just like, this is why you want to play in the National League. It's like just, farm to table from the bird right to the rink, fillets, chilling on the plane with the guys. I mean, that was unreal.
Table, eh? Little farm to table.
Exactly, man. It's like, and like just like sick tunes and that. So
Totally. It's about the soundtrack, the game soundtrack.
and those old school Philly teams, just fucking Broad Street, like that's why you wanted to be a hockey player. So they need to get back to that, is what I'm saying.
I agree. But these golf guys got a good gig. I mean, I'm telling you, these guys are flying around private, playing all the greatest golf courses in the world. So, but check it out, boys. If you haven't seen it full swing for season 3, it's out. Can't wait for Happy Gilmore 2. Before we go to break, Up Dog, who's this show presented by?
This show, fellas, is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Jay Swish and the Up Dog in studio. Olds battling through the flu here at the Bay Club. Not a bad place to be sick here, boys, but it's a Missin Curfew. Somebody bark for me, because I'll puke if I bark. It's a Missin Curfew. Another week, baby. Besides Jay Swish and the Up Dog, you guys can be the Missin Curfew dogs of the week too, with your off ice workouts and tennis and yoga. Have you been getting nice smoothies too?
Oh,
You're getting nice smoothies?
Acai.
You deserve like a nice peanut butter. You guys are probably too healthy for. Would you do a peanut butter, or are you more like a green guy, Swishy?
Oh, I can get some peanut butter in there. Went to Bear Flag yesterday too, so that was nice.
Sent you to Bear Flag for a little black and
What'd you think of Bear Flag? Did you get the tuna pokey?
It was really good. I got the salmon burrito and a sushi roll and the clam chowder. I went with the trifecta. It's fucking great.
New England clam chowder.
Is that the red or the
I
white?
can never remember that. I can never remember that.
See that?
Sick of the straight sure.
Yeah.
Well, boys, my Missin Curfew dog of the week. I know you both love the the Utah Hockey Club. Up Dog reps the hat quite a bit. Obviously, Nicky Smollett's brother, Jay Swish. Well, I took him the other night at minus 270 against the Hawks. I was a little concerned going in. But Jack McBain, you are my Missin Curfew dog of the week. I could have put the whole line on there, boys. Lawson Krause, who I'm going to get to and get this guy a beer, and Josh Doan. This is the type of line you need. And honestly, Jay Swish, I'll start with you, and up you can jump in after. Jack McBain, I like his game. I think there's even more. If he could play a little bit meaner at times, I think it would elevate him even more. They played 8 to 10 minutes in that game. If I'm the coaching staff for Utah, I'm giving him more ice time. But Jack McBain's my Missin Curfew dog of the week, and that whole line could have been.
Yeah, and Obi, you mentioned it. I mean, the kid is 6'4", probably more like 6'5", 225 odd pounds. And I just think when he asserts himself as being that big man, skating downhill, hunting pucks, finishing checks, he's a scary bastard out there. I think it's just more about doing it on a consistent basis and having that mean streak. Now, listen, it's not easy to do every night, but this is a kid. If you remember, he knocked out Obi with that knee injury, that hit. Then he ultimately answered the bell and fought Tom Wilson. So I do think he has that in him, and I think, he's still a young pro. It's his third year in the National League, Obi coming out of Boston College. I think there's more, and I think as he goes, that confidence to be meaner will even increase.
You look at the way good teams are built, boys. You have to have dogs on the bone. You got to have guys that have a little sandpaper to the game. And then I don't care how good your top players are. And Clayton Keller, 21 goals, 43 points. 43 apples. He's having a good year, but you can't just get in the playoffs by your top three offensive guys scoring all your points. You got to find secondary scoring. And that should come with a little fucking mustard to it, right? Like, get in there, create traffic, create energy. And Obes, you're right. A game like that against Chicago, they're down 1 early. It's a big comeback. It's a big comeback game that is led by fucking doing the same thing over and over and wearing them down. And that game turned out to be, a difference maker by the way these guys put their face in the game. I love it.
So yeah, I wanted to just, touch on it a little bit with, Nick, even in years past, it's like, what are we missing here? And you'd always, be talking to the coaching staff a little bit, especially in AZ. It's like, we need our bottom lines to have an identity. We can't just send the same line or type of player over the boards. And Jack McBain is one of those guys that, is a heavy body, can play third line, can play up the lineup as well. But you guys know, on championship teams, you have that bottom six that has identified roles, and they know when they step over the boards what they're out there to do. It's to forecheck, hunt pucks, and ultimately get that possession game for the skill line. So I think he's one of those guys that, when you're looking at an identity of a team, you need him playing heavy.
Yeah, and I'll give the coach credit. Alex Tournay, is that how you say his name, Sushi?
Yeah, Tournay.
Yeah, Tournay. He started him at the start of the game, started him second, third period, and then anytime there was an icing or whatever, if he didn't come with Kelson or Bro, he'd go with that line, and he rewarded them with the way they played. So good on him, good on those boys. We're all fans of the Utah Hockey Club, and I'll tell you what, it's going to be tough to get in the West, but if they do get in, that line right there could be big for them. So moving on, fellas, it's the DraftKings lock of the night.
Presented by DraftKings, fellas. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Fellas, I'll tell you what, Jay Swish is back, thank God. 8-2. Up dog, had a tough loss. The Kraken went into South Florida to beat the Panthers on you.
It's not perfect.
You were 9-7. I am 13-7. I had the Jackets over the Hawks. I'm going to start it off, boys, just because I got it written down here. I'm hoping Brady Tkachuk is back in the lineup. Please, God, be back in the lineup. But I'm going to take the Ottawa Senators at home against the San Jose Sharks. The Sens are in one right now with no Brady. I believe they've fallen out of a playoff spot. So even without Brady in the lineup, it's a must-win for them. I hope the captain's back. Swishy, I got the Sens at home against the Sharks.
I like that, fella. And you know what? I am going to go to the biggest game, the bright lights of the Horseshoe over there in Columbus, Ohio, Michigan. And Ohio people, they fucking hate each other. And you know what? That's going to stay right on brand with the Jackets and the Wings in the Stadium Series this weekend, boys. I'm taking the Jackets at home. I think they're going to get it done. Ohio State, Michigan, just all that bad blood now transferring to the National Hockey League, obviously with the Wings and the Jackets. So C-Bus ups. I know you chirp it all the time, but if there's one weekend to go to Columbus and have it tuned in, this is for the Stadium Series at the Horseshoe. Let's go. Jackets at home. I got Werenski getting one as well. So anytime score on that little parlay, fellas.
Yeah, we'll be tuning into that one. I'm glad you picked the game of the week today. Okay? You're throwing your balls out there for the boys, and I love it. I love it. Fellas, I'm taking the hottest team in the NHL right now, the Winnipeg Jets, at home Saturday night against my old school Philadelphia Flyers. This is a hot team, boys. This is a hot team with a hot goalie. They're scoring at will. The barn is tough to play in. So Philly, good luck getting in there and stealing any sort of points from these guys, but I'm taking the best of the best. I need a win, fellas. Bad. I like it.
I'll tell you what. Jets have won 11 straight, and I still don't think they get enough respect around the league from guys like probably us or anyone. So I think we got to start believing in them just for how consistent they've been all year. And Jay Swiss, you talk about the Stadium Series. Obviously, I call it the horseshoe at Ohio State, but both teams fighting for a playoff spot, it makes the game a whole lot more fun and a whole lot more interesting. And I will tune in because it's two teams fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, and anytime you can get that college football atmosphere at a National Hockey League game, and, we saw that game with the Wings as well as the Toronto Maple Leafs back in the day at the Big House. This is kind of give that same vibe for me. Big Ten football, I grew up watching that, so I'm fired up for this game, boys. It's good Midwest people getting drunk, tailgating, hanging out, and ultimately watching their team and hopefully win. So it's going to be sick.
Yeah, I think it is going to look sick at the horseshoe too. I mean, that's a sick looking stadium.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's iconic.
Yeah. All right, boys. DraftKings top titty. This guy's a beauty. This guy he's always putting in parlay cafes. I don't know if he's hitting all of them or not, but he seems to think he is. Unbelievable name with Trusted Dust. He got her done in the top titty, 118 points. Kyle was over just, by the way, how much Instagram is Kyle posting of food over there? He's just on a fucking mission in Tokyo. Kyle was fourth. The captain, Brento, came in 40th. Princey, 41st. And I was 47th. That's almost dead last. I got to get back to the drawing board on the top titty. But Trusted Dust, boys. This he's a beauty. He puts in a lot of parlay cafes on the X.
I mean, that is an all-time username, first of all. Like, Trust the Dust.
It's for his duster, right? He just trusts that the duster's going to be. Let's go. I'm going to trust that this duster's going to get the job. I would say that I need to see the guy's face to really understand the name.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So listen, at the end of the day, it's a tale as old as time. Trust the Dust, baby.
Give him a follow up there, boys. If you're not following Trusted Dust, give him a follow. We smoke parlay cafes, like I said, out all the time. So Trusted Dust, you deserve a beer. Jay Swish, get this guy a Labatt Blue, fella.
Brought to you by Labatt. With Labatt, you can buy beer and get gear. Go to their website, snap a photo of your receipt, and upload it to gain points towards exclusive merch. Any size, any product, anywhere you're buying Labatt. Sign up at rewards.labattusa.com. Chippewa Street, fellas.
Yeah. How those blue lights looking beside you? Up, pretty tasty.
Oh yeah, it's stockpiled. Whoever straightened them out is probably Princey, but they look good and fridge full of them.
Yeah,
fucking, it's not nice. Well, when you get a fridge full of beer, you got to drink them, right? Yeah, fridge. You got to drink.
Well,
yeah, you got to pummel that.
Playoffs right around the corner, springtime. We'll be fucking drinking those. Speaking of the guy who deserves the Bat Blues, Leon Draisaitl got his 43rd of the season. He is 10 goals ahead of Jay Swish's boy, Willie Stiles. Listen, this guy, to me, has the Hart Trophy wrapped up right now. He's just an absolute bull on the ice. So, Leon Draisaitl, get yourself a Labatt Blue. Lawson Krause went backhand short side titty for me to get me my -270 winner over the Blackhawks. We touched on his line earlier. This is a kid that I have loved forever, boys. So, for me, Lawson Krause, continue to play your game, continue to get pucks to net, and get yourself a Labatt Blue, fella.
What do you got?
Love
Schmaltzy?
it. Yeah, I got, boys, I'm going to go back to the Utah Hockey Club. I'm going to the Chin of Salt Lake City here, and I'm going to give a beer, a nice, cold, juicy Labatt to Nick DeSimone. Fellas, 30-year-old defenseman, prior to the season, 8 years in the American Hockey League, 30-odd games he had played in the National League, so predominantly in the Always Hungry League. And he's coming to Utah, and I've talked to guys on the team, and they say, you know what, he's playing steady back there. He's making a good first pass. They actually ended up waiving one of their defensemen on a one-way contract in Juuso Valimaki. So they sent him packing to Tucson, said, pack your shit, fella, you're out of here. And Nick DeSimone has found some real estate on that Utah back end. Obes, this is a kid that I played against in the minors. He's bounced around everywhere. It's just cool to see a guy 30 years old that, you know what, he might be able to stick for a few years if he continues to play like this. It's a good story as of right now. He's played 15-odd games for Utah, and he might have found a home, man.
Fellas, get this kid a Labatt Blue. Get him a fake ID first. Gavin McKenna, 17-year-old, 2026 eligible first overall pick, most likely. Good Canadian kid. Listen, 3-game sussy for a nice 2-hand slash. You know we all appreciate a good slash here. Get some room for yourself out on the ice. Listen, kid's riding a 35-game point streak in the Dub, the best junior hockey league up in Canada. I just like creating a little space with a good, don't fuck around slash, right, boys? So that to me is get yourself a beer. If you guys want to jump in on that, you can.
I just got a quick.
Yeah.
Just got a quick story. I remember coming into the training camp in the league a little bit, and our good buddy Robert Bortuzzo took a high hit on Michael Kemp, and he just ran his chin right into the glass. It was in a preseason game. It was Washington versus St. Louis, and we were coming in for the PK meeting the next day, and I found out Bobo maybe got a game in the regular season, maybe 2. And Steve Ott walks in, and he's an assistant coach at the time. He goes, "Bobo, where are you at?" He goes, "Best $3,500 you ever spent." Now the whole league's on notice. So sometimes, like Uppy said, you got to create your own space out there.
That's 100% true. And I said this earlier in the week about Zegras taking a 3-gamer. I mean, I love this kid. Two-handed this guy sticking up for himself. As a skilled guy, I think you got to put a little bit of doubt or fear into some people at times that, hey, I will protect myself, even if I have to two-hand you across the pants or like Zegras blindsides you a little bit. But at the same time, it's an investment, Jay Swiss, like you said. Sometimes investing in your career give you a little bit more ice time, a little more space out there. Sorry.
Yeah, and even like Joel Edmondson, I always asked him, like, do you like fighting? Because we were young, and he was fighting heavyweights. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna do it for the first 5 years. And listen, he still fights, but he's like, no one's gonna fuck with me. They're not gonna come in the corner and finish checks. And if they do, they know they got to answer the bell. It's so true, Obi, and it's something I wish I would have learned. Even as a skill guy, like maybe do something a little criminal once a year, because again, you're going to get that, that second thought of a guy like, ooh, I don't know if I want to fuck with this guy. He's a little bit crazy. He's kind of squirrely up there.
He's got fucking googly eyes.
Yes. Yeah. It's important.
Speaking of Joel Edmondson, I watched him. I actually missed this in our DraftKings segment on bad beats. I had the Kings last night at home, and I'll tell you what, if the Kings can find out a way to get the puck in the fucking net, I mean, when they come in waves, Edmondson played unbelievable last night. They got those 2 young defensemen, Spence and Clark, that are pretty slick. They come in waves. They have a hard time scoring. Like, they had so many chances last night to bury the Canucks, and they just didn't. Quinn Hughes looked unbelievable. But you mentioned Joel Edmondson, still out there just doing it the right way, Jay Swiss. Keeping guys the outside, fucking playing big and strong and getting it done.
Just a man back there.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Boys, I want to slide 2 more cases of pints here. Labatt Blue Lights to Braden Shen playing his 1,000th game tonight. Congrats, Shenner. Seems like yesterday you were fucking lacing him up for the LA Kings, sliding off into Philadelphia, and now founding a home in St. Louis as the captain. And then Ryan Suter, 1,500 matches. I remember this. I remember him playing his first game, Obes, with me in Nashville back in the day. But what a career he's had. No Stanley Cup yet. A lot of games, man. So that's well worthy of a couple cases of Labatt Blue Lights for those boys. But wow, 2 guys that we played a lot of hockey against.
Yeah, 1,500 games is a ton. I mean, when I played with Sutsy in Nashville, just how easy he made it look. You play 30 a night, and go back and get the biscuit all night, and make a nice breakout play. And the game wasn't as easy as he made it look. So Sutsy, good on you. And last but not least, forget this guy, Labatt Blue. I watched this morning when I was just in one. Jake Knapp, 59. I don't know what the tournament's called. It's not called the Honda anymore, but he shot 59. Yeah, it wasn't windy. Yeah, the greens were a little soft. He's a good Costa Mesa lad. 59 at the old Bear Trap is beyond belief. So Jake Knapp, get a Labatt Blue up, dog. He was just striping it, bombing it, stuffing it. 59, fella.
I saw that online this morning, fella, and I'm like, a good Orange County boy, right? Good Mesa Verde guy. But yeah, that's something to what hair too to do it with. If you're gonna shoot 59, you might as well have a good set of flow out there.
Yeah, I mean 59. Yeah. That's insane. I think I've shot in 59 on the front, for a couple times. So. That's insane.
Yeah, but yeah, how many drinks did you have? A few, eh?
Yeah. But 59, listen, that's deep sea fishing. That's spooky low.
Yeah, they was going low, but that's unbelievable. Big Ducks fan, so good for Jake Knapp, boys. It's milk carton time here at Missin Curfew. Boys, I don't know if this is too early to do this or not, but I'm going to put the big blockbuster trade on the milk carton here between Carolina and Colorado. I heard an interview of Jared Bednar the other night saying, we're no longer a high-flying team that can score goals and win that way. And I thought, well, why aren't you? And this is no disrespect to Nacius. And Rantenen has been very good in Carolina. I know it's only been a month and a half or 2 months, boys, but is this a trade that, looking back, maybe both sides are like, why did we push the panic button so early? Why did we make this deal, 2 months before the deadline? It's like, are both teams worse? Maybe. I mean, Nacius has 12 points in 11 games. Rantenen only has 3. It's just like, when I look at this trade, like, I'm putting on the milk carton, boys. I don't think it's played out the way that either team thought they were. And I thought it was a little bit of desperation from probably more the Avalanche than the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I think so. And there's something to be said about chemistry too, right? I mean, like you trade for Nacius. Now, Nacius in Carolina could play behind, He could play behind Svechnikov. He could play behind Aho. He could kind of get, just almost was like a complimentary piece. And now you move him over to Colorado for Mikko Rantanen. He instantly has to go up to the penthouse and play in that type of role because that's what you traded for. So not only is there pressure there, but just systems-wise where I'm not saying Nashus, who was on pace, this year for 90-odd points, is a secondary scorer, but I do think when you're a really good player and you can kind of play behind some of those guys, it just alleviates a little bit of the stress and you can kind of do your thing and, work your art in between that.
Yeah, Obes, you probably have something to point on to say. All I think is it was just preemptive. It was probably like pulling a trigger that didn't need to be pulled, like thinking that I got this magic wand that's going to fix everything, cap issues, future contracts, getting some new pieces. When Obes, you're right. Like, you have a couple bad games, guys don't score goals. You think you got to shake up your whole squad early. That was done in, late December? Or it was kind of like a really odd, to your point, Obes, odd timing and maybe not for the best.
And you know what, boys? I'm hearing some rumblings out of Carolina too that if they don't have Randon signed by, the deadline's March 7th, next Friday, I believe, that they may have to ship him out of town again. Is that? I'm sure that's maybe a little blown out of proportion, but if you're the Carolina Hurricanes and you just bring in Rantenen and you trade Nashus and Drury, and now you can't sign him and you're going to trade him again, it's what the fuck was what was wrong with your hockey club with Nashus and Drury? If you couldn't think you could sign them, and maybe they will sign them, boys. They got till March 7th to do it before the deadline. But could you imagine if they had to move him before the deadline because he doesn't want to resign there?
And the latest offer I've heard is 13.4 over 8 years. So if you're saying no to that, is it a fit thing at that point? Is Rantanen kind of getting cold feet where it's fuck, I got 3 points in 8 games. I don't know if I want to commit long term here.
Yeah.
It also makes you think what's the outside looking into Carolina? If you're a free agent and a guy like Mikko Rantanen gets there, doesn't have success, their team was good and now is kind of drifting off. What does it look like? What's wrong, right? There's someone on the outside is fuck, man, something must be going on in Carolina. They just can't make it work.
Well, they struck out last year with Gensel, too. I mean, they traded for him at the deadline, and then he turns around and signs in Tampa Bay for 9 and a hook.
Good point.
And they did give him a pretty good offer.
Yeah.
Was it that? Maybe even more? I'm not sure, but I don't know, Obes. You make such a good point where it's why did you have to go to the crystal ball with this when you could probably just held on to Rantanen and life's good. We'll just punt and figure it out later in the year.
Yeah, and especially with all the reaction after he left, and then from Carolina's perspective, like you boys said too, there's obviously where there's smoke, there's fire. They bring these guys in, they can't get them signed for whatever reason. I mean, they have great fans. It's a great barn to play in. From everything I've heard of, if you're raising a family there, it's a great place to raise a family. But to me, it's just a trade that I don't think is working out the way either side would. And sticking with the Colorado Avalanche, boys, Big Val Nutrishkin, the Russian train, take him off the milk carton. He's back. This guy's been on and off the milk carton more than he's been in rehab, I think. But listen, I just hope you can stay healthy. I watched him play the other night against the New Jersey Devils, and he looked a little rusty, but his size, his strength, I just hope he can stay healthy, stay out of trouble, because I love him as a player. I feel for this guy, and he can help the Colorado Avalanche because he is that big body net front. But he looked a little rusty, boys.
Obes, you'll love this. Sunday's game in LA, I had the Big Val gloves on, black ones, for my days in Dallas. That was the set of gloves I had for my training camp there. I just, anyway, put them on. I'm thinking, fuck, the Big Val, these are his hands. Pretty big size mitt he's got on him. 50 gloves.
He's a monster.
Couple goals left in those gloves. I managed to get one, but put a couple off the goalie's shoulder, eh? But Big Val, like you said, Obes, we love this guy back in the lineup. He could be what Colorado's missing too, by the way, right? We look at the trade, well, maybe it's a little bit of the sandpaper and size and the big fucker in front of the net on the power play or whatever the case may be. He is a big piece of their team and the team success they've had. So it's big for the big boy to get back in the lineup.
Up, dog, those gloves have lots of goals left in him. He didn't score one goal.
He didn't. No, he didn't. No, yeah, he didn't.
10th overall.
The whole year without scoring a goal. That's crazy for how sick that guy is. He must have. Well, now that I know him, he was just fucking mixing it in Dallas. Eh? He's like, fuck. This is a tough city not to go out and you haven't had a goal all year. You should maybe stay in at night. Hey, fellas, stay in it.
Yeah. Sitting there at Moxie's just snapping it.
Boys, I'm watching the Avs game there tonight too, and I'm just thinking, where's my boy Landeskog? What's he doing? Where is he? Is he close? Is he not? how realistic is it that he's going to come back, boys? No, it's not that realistic, is it? Unfortunately,
You never say never, and you don't want to give up as an athlete. So he's obviously going to keep trying. But man, I don't know. It doesn't look good. It just doesn't it. Like even when he was skating a little bit and doing Canada Cup or some of those drills in the neutral zone at pregame skate, it's just the hobble. It just didn't look. You know what I mean? It just didn't look perfect.
Yeah.
yeah.
New cartilage in your knee, like no one's really ever done that.
Yeah.
I think so. He's an experiment that we all hope comes out on the positive side because, well, A, he's a great player, but B, like it'd be nice to know that you could do that procedure having a really bad fucking knee and come back and play. And I think that, he's going to do what's best for him as he should, but it would be nice to see at some point in the near future him go out and fucking excel like he was when he got hurt. He was at the top of his game almost before he got hurt.
Do you think either way he gives it a go? Like, do you think he's like, whatever, I'm going to fucking try it. If I fucking blow it out again or whenever I'm done, or is it quality of life? Wants to be able to play with his kids, play, whatever, maybe golf or whatever it does, or is it like if it was you guys, would you say I'm going to at least give it a go and see if I can battle, or if you can't get it going, the body just won't let you?
Maybe I can jump in because I was a knee guy here. It depends, man. I went through a phase where you battle, you go through rehab, and it keeps acting up to the point where you got to really fucking get a big surgery. I don't know the extent of like damage for future if he does give it a go. I think it's just the letdown of knowing it's not ready. If I go out there in an uncontrolled circumstance and it fucks up, like what's the next procedure? Because if the next procedure is like a new knee or whatever, then maybe it's not right to do, to try it. And I know he's probably pushing himself, Obes, daily. He knows where he is mentally. He's probably put himself a great team around him. I would expect the best athletes in the world now don't just have their trainers on their team. They put together a fucking world-class team of guys trying to help him out. Jack Eichel came back from one of the biggest neck surgeries, to the day ever, and he's excelled and got back to his game. So Obes, maybe it's just a little bit more time, fella, that his body adjusts to the new knee and he does give it a go. I don't think we've seen him play his last game, but if that next, who knows when the next game is?
Yeah, hopefully not. Every time, like I said, every time I watch him play, it's just like, God, I miss seeing 92 out there. So Landy, hopefully we see you back sooner or later, fella. But nice to have Big Val back. I'll tell you what, the Avs did look good the other night against New Jersey. Makar was buzzing, McKinnon was buzzing, and that Lekkonen's all around it. He's just in the blue paint all the time. Like if you're gonna watch a guy learn how to just score goals, like he just goes to the blue paint, boys. It just gets rewarded all the time.
Water bug. He can play up and down the lineup. That's what I love about the Colorado Avalanche, and they can figure out, maybe get hot, strike iron here. Blackwood gets kicking. I love their middle six. You need Miles Wood going. You need Ross Colton. You need guys like Lekkonen going. And if you can get those guys buzzing through the meat of your lineup, because you obviously have the top end skill, but even in middle stat, if we can get some of these guys going or maybe make a move to get a center iceman, you never know. They could be real dangerous coming down the stretch, baby.
I rip Middlestat all the time, but he's in for one of the juiciest backhand sauces from about the blue line right on Devon Taves' tape. And we had the first period over, and it was 1-0. To me, there was like 8 seconds left. Millsap goes cross-ice sauce. Taves comes in short side post. I'm like, oh, that would have been a great way to win the first period over. But
I like
his that kid, but he could dish it.
I like his game. He's skilled. Listen, I don't know how good defensively or, maybe he needs to raise his compete level a little bit, especially at playoff time below the dots. Obi, the one thing I question with him is can he play in traffic? Can he play when the game's tight, when he's tightly checked? Can he get in and out of chaos? Is he willing to get his nose over the puck? Is he willing to, again, navigate and thrive when hockey is hard, when it's in your face and you don't have space outside the dots? That's my one thing with him is I don't know how well he navigates when traffic's there and, it gets a little bit sticky.
He doesn't navigate well at all.
No.
His navigation doesn't work. His navigation doesn't work. His fucking turns off and it just shuts her down because he's soft. But everything else you say about he can make plays in tight spaces, I'm not giving up on the Avs, right? Let's stay with them, boys. Last but not least here, before we move on to our guest, we got an absolute beauty coming on. Back up the Brinks truck. Beep, beep, beep. Back it up, boys. I'm watching the Blackhawks play the other night. I'm not going to get into Connor Bedard's game because you guys know how I feel about it. But I'm sitting there thinking he's going into a third year of his entry-level contract. I'm sure they're going to start talking to him. If you're him or you're the Hawks, Like, what kind of deal are you looking at? Like, let's go. Let's not go from the Hawks. Let's go as a player. If you're Bedard, do you want an 8-year deal, or do you sign a 5-year deal and hope the cap continues to go up? Like, what kind of position do you think this kid's in right now, boys? From his game, the type of kid we know, what do you think he's looking for? If you were in his position, what would you be looking for?
Who are comps, by the way? You got to look at the comps, right? Like what other?
So he's got 110 points in 126 NHL games. Those are good numbers.
I would say, boys, his most recent comp would be like Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes coming out of his entry-level deal got 8x8, and you could see the skill. You could see, if he put it together, he'd be a dominant force like he's going to be. Now, Bedard, I think he's kind of still in that same position where he's still obviously building and elevating his game, but needs to get paid. So with inflation, the cap going up, I had just written down 8 times 10 AAV. If you're Connor Bedard, you take that deal, Obi?
8 times 10 bananas for 8 years?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be tough to turn down. But for me, I think he should do more of the Austin Matthews way, like a 5-year deal. I think this kid, once he does mature and get a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, I think that's when we're going to see his game really take the next jump. So for him to get locked in an 8-year deal, in the last couple of years of that deal, Jay Swish, I think he might be like wishing he wasn't locked in. Like for me, where I'm going with this, if I'm him, I'm signing like a 5-year, $10 million deal. Give me 50 bananas, and then I'm going to try to get my game to the next level, and in 5 years, fucking give me another 10 years for whatever it's going to be.
If you're the GM there and Kyle Davidson, are you comfortable with 5 years at $10 million? I wowould lean towards 8, 5, 9. I'd try to get him at maybe something like that because he's still under a point a game. Now listen, he's a great player, but I don't know if I'm giving him 10 off the top for 5, and then you're going back to the drawing board and say he lights it up. Now he's worth 15, 16, especially with how the game's going. I don't know. That's why they don't pay us to do that.
Yeah, I know, but from a general manager perspective, I would think you want to lock him down for the deal that you thought.
100%.
Like the deal you're saying, you want to get this kid locked down. I'm looking at more from the player's perspective. I just think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Those are good numbers. Has he been as good as everyone thought? In my opinion, I'm going to say no. He's still a very big talent. I'm just wondering what kind of contract he'd be looking for, Updog.
Yeah, Obes, you guys make good points. I see this kid maturing physically and, both on the mental side of things where frustration doesn't creep into his game, bad habits don't creep into his game. A lot of young players you see come into the league with such high expectations in these, in these organizations with so much, so much pressure on him. And this is in no way is this a situation where he's just coming in a small market and going out and doing his thing. Like Chicago Blackhawks fans expect their players to play hard every night, to do the right things. And I just see, with the cap, the way the cap's moving, boys, in the next 3 years, let's just say 3 years, it's going up 10, maybe $12 million in 3 years, right? Like you'd be crazy not to take 8 years, Swishy, 80 mil. Obes, I think there's a middle ground that these players now coming out of their entry-level deal, it used to be the bridge, for the guys that haven't reached their potential, but they, the team still wants them to prove who they are. I see now there being the Austin Matthews mentality of like, you know what, I'll get paid fair market value. I got to prove myself again, but this still gives me the power. I think the power lays moving forward into the player's hands where it should. I think where it should. You don't want to be locked up 8-10 years like these players used to get, because it could just be a shit show. You have the best, if it turns into one of the best players in the world, and who knows, but you don't want to be stuck in a franchise fucking, with your tail between your legs going, where the fuck is my support here?
So, and I don't know the kid personally, sorry, Ups, but he seems to have the confidence that he could bet on himself. Like, you know what? I don't want the 8 years. I'm going to take 5, and in 5 years, I'm going to really, bend you guys over. I do, from the little that I see him talk, he doesn't lack confidence, and nor should he. But it's a good problem to have either way, Jay Swish. You know what I mean? It's a good problem for this kid to have either way.
Yeah, you're going to your GM, you're going to your agent and saying, fella, I don't know if I'm going to buy the penthouse at the Trump. I might go to the Gold Coast. It's a good problem. Maybe I'll stay in the West Loop over here. So, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely, it's rich guy problems, but I'm with you. If I'm Connor Bedard and I'm his agent, 4 or 5 years, somewhere in there, let's get home. Let's get you some bacon, front-loaded signing bonus, and then we'll go back to the drawing board in 5 odd years when you're 26, 27 and readdress it.
Yeah, it's just crazy that he's been in the league for 2 years, and now we're 1 year away from his deal being over, and he's talking about these type of numbers. So it's good on him. Boys, we got absolute all-time beauty. We bumped into him at the Wasted Management. We haven't had him on forever. Mike Commodore, coming at you next. Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Up Dog, Jay Swish. We bumped into this beauty at the Wasted Management. It's been a long time since we had him on, so I've been wanting to get him back on. But Mike Commodore, you fucking beauty. Good to see you.
What's going on? Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on. Good to see all you guys. Thanks for having me. The Wasted Management was a good time once again, and actually it was kind of an under control good time. They made some nice changes to that tournament, but yeah, we bumped into each other with the Nickelback. If it wasn't for those tent walls, I would have fucking been right on my ass to the time that concert rolled around, but it was a good time.
It's funny you say that. That was one of my questions I had lined up for you. The new security at the Wasted Management. I think it was needed. I mean, 2 years ago, it was a complete gong show. Like you said, the changes they made, you can still have a good time as we did, Commie, but it's a lot stricter there, and people know you can't go completely buck diddy.
Yeah, well, they did a great thing putting it with the head of security, chair of security, Darcy Hordichuk. That's a good start as far as security goes. I mean, I wouldn't mess with them, that's for sure. But yeah, you know what they did? I went to the luncheon this year for the first time. Like, I'm not a Thunderbird. I don't have anything to do with it, but I was invited, and so I went, and their motto was like better, not bigger. I think it's the first time they've done that in a while. Because like you said, last year was a catastrophe. I mean, it was kind of a perfect storm too. There was way too many people, but then there was bad weather, so most of the course was closed. You couldn't walk on those hills because everybody was hammered and falling, and then the security quit on them. So anyways, I thought the changes were great. Look, as much as I enjoy college parties and as much as I had fun at them, and don't get me wrong, I'm not ripping on the college kids, it was probably time to get rid of the $30 any day ticket. That took care of a lot of kind of the people that show up and like have no clue there's even golf going on. And the new entrance and exit was awesome. That was a game changer for me because it used to be a pain in the ass getting in there, like having to walk by DraftKings. Like, DraftKings is awesome, but then wind around underneath the bridge, and it was really only one entrance and exit, so that was terrible too. So they added that. But yeah, I thought the changes were great. I went Saturday this year, and to be honest, I think it might have been. I didn't notice the difference between like Saturday and Friday, so in a good way. It was busy, but not crazy.
Yeah, but just about Horty. When Horty got the head of security, I'm like, finally a job you're qualified for, Horty. Finally a job you're qualified for.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it until somebody sent me, or it popped up on my feed or something. I've never met his wife, but it was from their Instagram account or whatever, and with the Metallica playing in the new chair of security. That was a great video. I laughed my ass off. But he did a great job, and I'm sure he had a good time doing it. That's for sure.
It's like, Horty, you can steal as many sticks as you want when you're the head of security. Hey, Holmes.
Yeah, exactly.
Told me that story. Somebody told me that story fairly recently. I laughed my
You
ass
were with
off.
them in van, weren't you?
I think I might have told you, Commie.
I think it was you.
Yeah, before Nickelback, where he got caught taking the sticks out by the better fuel in Vancouver.
That was you.
I just got bag skated. I was just showering up to leave the rink, and I hear some commotion, like, wow, fucking. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I peek around the corner, and there's Horty. He's like, yeah, Patty caught me staying the sticks out in the room. I'm like, oh, fuck, funny.
Hey, we've all done it, though, eh? We've all taken, I'll take a couple of these twigs here. This Yermer Yager looks good. Yogs, you don't need this one, right? This is your practice twig, eh? Yeah. How was Nickelback, boys? I know you three were there. I missed you dearly. But did did Kroger throw a bash? I heard it was just insane.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. To be completely honest, I was there until they got off, and then I think I had like credentials to go somewhere else. But in that Birds, I was too hammered, so it was time for me to leave. But yeah, they were great. Everybody always ripped. I know you guys talk about it too, but I mean, their documentary was great. Not everybody, I shouldn't say that, but people ripping on Nickelback. I've always thought they've been very good. And I mean, I know I'm a little bit of a homer, but I mean, they've been one of the more successful bands in the last 25 years. And anyways, I've gone to a bunch of their shows. I always enjoy it. I had a blast. I mean, I know I definitely had a good time, but I wish I could kind of take it back, and I wish I could have hung out for about 2 more hours. Because I think I missed like a pretty good time after the concert, and I was in no condition.
Yeah, I actually took off too. I had to go meet a couple of my golf buddies I was with. They wanted to go meet their other buddies. I'm like, fuck, this party's going to keep rocking here after. Because say what you want about Chad, man. I got to party with him a lot in Vancouver. Like, he goes on the stage, he's doing shots the whole show, and then after he parties, like, he is a rock star when it comes to fucking getting after it, comedy. He loves to mix it.
Yeah, I actually got into a little thing with him. I one time kind of partying with those guys. I don't think I've told the story, period. But long story short, I went to a concert in Vancouver. It was one of the summers when I was still playing. And so I get invited back to their like after party. It was at some restaurant that restaurant that turns into kind of a wherever they go or whatever, someplace downtown Van, a kitchen, lounge, bar type thing. So somehow the party like kind of ended up in the kitchen. So I'm standing there. I didn't really know anybody. It was just me. So I'm hanging out, having a few drinks. And Kroger came in. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Hey, good to see you again. And I don't even know if he recognized me, and it doesn't matter. But that was when I first learned that he loves arm wrestling. I don't know if you guys knew this, but he loves arm wrestling. So I'm standing there, and it comes up. I don't want to arm wrestle. I'm not an arm wrestler. I don't want to torch my elbow. Like, I want nothing to do with this. And he's all over me. He's like, we're arm wrestling. And I'm like, there's a few girls in there. And I'm like, no, Chad, it's good, man. It's good. This guy like won't leave me alone. So finally I'm like, man, and people are gathering around. And I'm like, man, this guy really wants to do this. Like, this is the last thing I want to do. So finally I'm like, all right, man, if you want to arm wrestle, fine, let's do it. So they like clear off the chopping block where they're chopping meat and shit in the kitchen there. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at him like, well, he doesn't, it's not like this guy is an imposing physical specimen, but I'm like, if he loves to arm wrestle, he must be good at it, like wiry strength or something. So I'm like, man, I got to be ready to go. Like, I do not want to get hurt doing this. So we get all squared up. The guy raised his hand or whatever, go. And I just smack his hand off the table. I'm like, oh, and he's like, you're cheating. I'm like, cheating. I'm like, all right, well, let's do it again. I'm like, okay. So we do it again. I hammer his arm off the table again. Now I can feel, I'm like, man, I'm way stronger than this guy at arm wrestling. So he did it a third time. He got pissed off and left. That was the last time I hung out with him, actually. But it was a good night.
Best of three, Comedy. That was a clean sweep, but
that was a clean sweep, and like he didn't even come close to moving me.
Yeah, I love
him. They're arm wrestler. I'm not bragging about my skills at all.
Yeah, I love.
Must have been really drunk if we thought he could have beat you in an arm wrestling, Comedy. He must have been tuned up pretty good.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, it looked like he was having a good time. That's for sure.
Comedy, I wanted to throw it to the weekend Aspen we had with the Colorado Extreme. Obviously, an unbelievable event. We got to play together as D partners. But the thing that I love seeing you get off that bird, I didn't even know we were on the same flight because we got on that flight out of Phoenix Sky Harbor at like 4 in the fucking morning. And I get the baggage claim, and I see you. We kind of dap up. You grab one stick. I love that you only brought one. You're like, holy fuck, what are you getting called up here? Because I had like 3 or 4 of them. And then the best thing is on that, the baggage claim comes out, and you had the roller bag. And I just thought that was such a smart, veteran-savvy move by you, because who the fuck wants to carry a bag these days? But you had the roller bag. That was an unbelievable play.
I do appreciate that. I get ripped on more for that roller bag than anything else. Anytime I bring that with any new people, oh, nice roller bag, you pussy. I'm like, hey, I go, this thing's kind of handy to roll around. And if you're going to call anybody pussies, call the Calgary Flames alumni pussies. They're the ones that order it. I have nothing to do with this. But it is kind of nice. The only thing that does suck with those things, it's nice to roll around, but they're heavy because all that shit in the bottom.
Yes.
I will say. So like picking them up is a pain in the ass. But yeah, they're great for getting around the airport. Not that I travel a whole lot with my hockey bag, I guess, anymore, but when I have to, it's nice. Yes. Aspen was fun though. That was a good time.
Yeah, how'd you handle the altitude up there, Comedy? I was struggling myself. How did you find the altitude there during that? Sure. I saw a couple times I saw you coming down the pipe there with the orange stick you had. I'm like, oh, here comes Comedy. You must be breathing okay out here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not sure what I struggled with more, the altitude or the pace of play coming from the Colorado Avalanche alumni. I'll tell you what, we got to get younger and faster, because I am sick and tired. I just met that Milan Hajduk, and I'll tell you what, I didn't enjoy playing against him like for real, and I didn't like playing against him in that alumni game either. That guy was flying around. I was actually I wasn't pissed, but like, I'm like, if this guy walks it to the middle one more time around me and roofs this thing, I'm starting to get pissed off here. It's 12-4. Like, just put it in the corner or something. But yeah, that was a great time. That was awesome. My whole experience in Aspen was good. Yeah, but I showed up light this year. I've lost a few LBs in the last 6 months. If that game would have been like 6 months ago, I would have been. I'm not sure if I would have made it. So.
Connie, I I'm going to lean on you, by the way, to help put together this roster next year because younger, faster. Are you skating much right now? I skated in this LA Strong game Sunday, which was awesome. Yeah, it was unbelievable. The NHL did a great job. Are you skating? You guys got a good bunch of guys out in the desert there, at the ice den. Not too far from where you boys are living, not too far from Whisper Rock. But how are the skates with the alumni there?
You know what? It's awesome. Like obviously the Coyotes are gonzo, which doesn't really, from what I can tell, doesn't really change anything with the alumni. The same group of guys are still here, and there's actually a skate, until like probably starts in, I don't know, October and runs right through. I think it kind of runs as long as we want. They give us an hour of ice time a week, not at the ice den, but at Mullet Arena there where ASU plays.
Sweet.
So there's a practice rink in there, and it's actually, you know what? It's awesome. Like the ice is great. It's a good little setup. So yeah, as far as regular skate, every Thursday at 11:45, like in the morning, we got a skate. And there's a good crew. There's always, like, very rarely does the skate get canceled. I mean, other than maybe Waste Management Week, there's always enough guys to skate. So it's good. But yeah, I need to skate more personally, and we need to put a squad together for Aspen. I mean, I felt bad for Lundqvist. I didn't know he was there the year before. I was telling you, there's no way this guy's coming back. He just got torched with 100 shots.
Call me the year before that the top line was Lupul, Upshaw, Carcillo. I'm like, boys, fucking Loops hadn't been to bed. I'm like, this Avalanche team plays every month. You guys are fucking in one. I'm telling you, they're coming. And it was Lundqvist's groins after the game were fucking. I mean, the second year was a lot better on Comey.
You know what? I heard that. I said that on the bench, I think, to Schmaltzy. And then somebody mentioned, no, he was here last year. Last year was worse. I was like, Jesus, really? I'm like, okay, I would feel a little bit better. But, I mean, if it wasn't for him, I mean, it easily could have been 25 to, I don't know how many goals. What did we get, 4 or 5 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. A couple in there. Yeah, we had a few.
We got to bring a better squad. I'll get on that.
I was the GM. I was the GM of your squad. I thought I brought in some pretty high piece quality guys there, boys. I'm not gonna lie, call me you. You're one of my glue guys I brought in for that team, fella.
Yeah, but it might be a better idea if I'm coaching next year and we bring in some serious speed. I mean, somebody's got to keep up with Hayduk and Darren Helm. I think I told him off the opening draw. I'm like, and I played with Darren a little bit when I was in Detroit. I'm like, Darren, I go, dude, if you make me look bad out here, I'm going to be pissed. And actually, Darren is a very nice guy. He definitely took it easy on me, which was very, very nice of him.
Kami, I wanted to ask you, I wanted to just bring it back to my freshman year at UND. It was the lockout 2012-2013. Do you remember when you were in Grand Forks that weekend for not even a weekend, but like an extended period of time? It was like 2 weeks you were there, and you were hanging out with us a little bit. And I just remember you were, mixing it up. We had a Super Bowl party, but you brought a professor to one of our parties just quickly before you were stopping by to the bar, Frank White. And we had the Frank the Tank chant going on because he's a legendary professor at UND. But I just remember that time I was like, oh my God, like this guy, not only Kami is a legend, but Frank the Tank as well. Like that was some of the better parts of my freshman year when you were popping in. I think you were getting ready to go play in Russia, maybe, Kami, or you were playing over here. But do you remember that?
Yeah, no, I do remember that. I think I was I can't remember if that was at the beginning of the year or the middle. It was either before I went to Hamilton.
It might have been that. Yeah, it might have been right before you went.
Oh, right before. Okay, yeah. So I was trying to hang on, and I'm like, man, you played somewhere. Yeah, I'm like, the show's over here, but I'm trying to hang on. So I'm like, I got to go somewhere where I can skate. Like, I was in Tampa. I spent a lot of time in Tampa before that. But I'm living with Teddy. I'm like, we're going out all the time. I'm like, this is not conducive for me playing any longer. So I got the hell out of there and I came to Grand Forks. But yeah, I do remember coming to that party. Frank, for people that don't know, was a sociology teacher at the University of North Dakota for, God,
40 years?
40 years? Like something like that. And he literally looks the exact same now. He doesn't age, this guy. He looks the exact same now that he did like almost 30 years ago when I was there. And his classes were always the most popular. He was an excellent teacher for sure, but he also loves to have a good time. And anytime I'm in town, I always reach out to Frank. And if I'm there for like more than like a day or two, but yeah, you usually see him like 90% of the time. And he's not shy. He gets right in, and like the college kids love him too, right? Because he's got him in class. And
oh yeah, he's
I think Frank. I don't want to say too much, but Frank spot.
Yeah, I know. I just remember you would walking in and like everyone had him that year because he was like one of those 100 level classes he taught and whatever. And the freshmen and sophomores like they saw him. And we just started that Frank the Tank. It was legendary. So that was one of my most fond moments of UND. You just buzzing around that whole time was unbelievable. You're so good to us. So that was a sweet time for sure.
It was my pleasure. It was great to be back. And yeah, like honestly, the biggest perk before I went to college, like I took grades 1 to 9 in French immersion. So like when I went to grade 10 in English high school, I used to like think in French. Like French was basically like kind of my first language. So anyways, then it's been English ever since, but I took some credits before I got to North Dakota for my freshman year, like French placement. And so to see where you're at as far as French, and like I went in there, this test was supposed to take like 3 hours. I was in and out of there, and I don't think it took me 20 minutes. Like it was like the easiest thing ever, but I got a full 16 credits. So really when I got there my first semester, I was already a semester ahead. So honestly, the biggest bonus of that was I could sign up earlier than I would be able to normally for classes. And the reason why I did that was to get into Frank's classes because he was awesome. You couldn't get in after if you didn't have a little priority, you were out. So he was an excellent teacher.
Love it.
Gave me A's too.
Call me French immersion until grade 9. We could have used you in Montreal for the Four Nations spell. We needed someone that could speak French for us. Could have used.
I'm a little rusty now. I can still understand it if they slow it down a little bit, but I should have came with you guys. It'd come back to me. It looked like you guys were having a good time.
Yeah, I want to ask you what the Four Nations called me because lead into it. You were a lot of people didn't know what to expect, and watching your stuff you do, and you didn't know what to expect. I mean, obviously it was a home run. How big it is for the game, but just give us your thoughts on the Four Nations.
Yeah, I was like split. I wasn't sure. If there was a gun to my head at the end of the day, when you put like you guys have said before, like when you put your country's jersey on, there's a lot of pride that goes with that. So even if it is an exhibition, but at the same time, with the timing of it, it is basically all-star break for these guys. But right from the word go, it was awesome. I'll just speak for myself, like, especially with that first Can-Am game, like I was getting messages from people that I didn't even, like Americans that I didn't even know, like paid any attention to hockey. And I go to the golf course quite a bit here and, they like hockey, but don't like nobody, a lot of people don't really talk to it unless they're unless they're Canadians. I had people coming up to me on the range, asking about the game, what I thought. So it created a lot of interest. So yeah, I guess to sum it up, it's a total it was a complete home run. The ratings were through the roof. I do get the other side of it. Like if I was whatever, I'd pick a general manager in the National Hockey League. If I was a GM of an NHL team and I'm sitting there, I'm not sure how much I love it. But at the end of the day, I think for the well-being of the game, it's worth the risk, if that makes sense. Like, yes, does it suck that Matthew Tkachuk is hurt and Brady Tkachuk is hurt and Theodore got hurt? Like, guys are going to get hurt, especially if you're going to play that hard. Like, you're going to get hurt. That definitely sucks. But I think if it's going to put a bunch of new eyeballs on and create a lot of interest, I think it's worth it.
Commie, would you went Donnybrook again game 2 to start off? Like if you're the US, would you maybe size them up again and said like, now you're on our turf, let's Donnie it up again? I don't know.
I think on the American side, I think I would have. I think the Canadians were better off not. I don't think. I think the American lineup was a little, other than like don't get me wrong, they all did a good job and Parayko's big and Hagel hung in there. Bennett can handle himself. And you know what I mean? But I think the Americans were a little grittier than the Canadians overall. I think if I was the Americans, I think I might have tried to do it again. But if I'm the Canadian coach, if I'm John Cooper, I'm probably telling my guys, hey, stay out of it. The last thing they need is somebody gets shit kicked 2 seconds into the game and the place is going bonkers.
Yeah.
It would have been good it would have made the ratings even better if it would have happened again.
Yeah, call me. That's a great point by you, though. Like, for how good the Four Nations was, and there was a home run. I'm watching the Ottawa Senators play the other night. My boy Travis Green is behind the bench, and I'm thinking, poor Stevie Staios, Brady Tkachuk's hurt right now. They're in a playoff, dash, and they're trying to get into the playoffs for the first time ever. So, for all the positives, that was one thing I did notice watching them when it started back up. Like, that sucks for them because they played so hard to get to where they are, and now with Brady being out, call me, they're in one right now.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I just don't know what you can't, unfortunately, you can't have it both ways, right? At the end of it, I think it's great for the game. There's a bunch of new eyeballs. It was very exciting. It got a lot of interest down south. But in order to get that interest, guys got to play hard. If they play like an all-star game, nobody's going to give a shit. They're going to treat it like, maybe not quite as bad, but like the NBA all-star game. And, the timing of the Four Nations, too, I should touch on that, couldn't have been better. There's no football. The NBA is going through their catastrophe where it's like these dudes don't even care. And then you flip the channel or somebody tells you, hey, turn on the highlight. Why don't we try watching hockey? And you're seeing guys, it's very obvious. Even if you don't know the game, you can tell that these guys are trying here. So the timing was great too. But yeah, I get it. I don't. You can't have it if you're going to play hard. You're going to have to run that risk. I think if you're a general manager, you're just either hoping nobody from your team gets picked or somehow your guys get through.
Commie, big weekend coming up. It seems like the NHL is just doing one thing after another. All good for the game. But the Stadium Series in Columbus, your old squad, against another team, the Detroit Red Wings, Original Six, another squad that you played for. But when I played in Columbus, you had just left, buddy. I don't know if you got ran out of town or you just had too much fun, but you had that sick pad right on the park, just off downtown in like Midtown area there. All I heard was the hot tub was always firing on the roof. And that was where the after parties were. So maybe give us a glimpse of maybe your weekend coming up and how excited you are to get back to Columbus.
Yeah, first and foremost, I miss Columbus. Secondly, yes, in my opinion, I got ran out of town because I was single by Scott Arniel. I have a soft spot for the Winnipeg Jets. I always kind of cheer for him. I am not this year because I hate that guy. He is a scumbag, and the Jets just can't stop winning, which is hard for me to swallow just because of Arniel. But yeah, Columbus, long story short, Columbus was the only city that I ever signed like a long-term deal in. And did it work out? No. Was the first year awesome? Yes, it was. It was the first time the Blue Jackets ever made the playoffs. But yeah, so it was the first place that I ever bought a house in. And yeah, I ended up, God, it was, I loved it there. Like Columbus gets shit on. And I get it a little bit, but I had a blast. I think it's a great place to play. If, their track record hasn't been great. If they could put a winner together there, I think that city would go bonkers. But like from my bedroom to my stall was a 15-minute walk. And in between my bedroom and my stall at the rink was like every bar that we went to.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it. But yeah, so I had that place for I had it for like 12 years. I was only there for almost three. Rented it out for a little bit. But yeah, I haven't gotten back much, to be honest. I was kind of pissed. Like I said, I really enjoyed it there. If Columbus was on the western half of the United States, I think I probably would have stayed. But I didn't go there for a long time. I mean, I was bitter for a long time. Now, who gives a shit? I could care less. I went back there for Natcher's jersey retirement. I probably had a little bit too much fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back. I mean, I think I'm not sure what the exact. Feder Tootens says he's going to pick me up at the airport, and I think I'm spending one night, Friday night at his place out in Dublin. And then Saturday, I think my game plan is I'm just going to take an Uber, have him drop me off down by my old place, and I'm just going to send it all afternoon and make my way up, walk up to the football field. I'm going to go to the game, and then I think I had a brownstone, so I had some neighbors, like it's attached. So my neighbors right next door still live there, so they gave me the code. I got the green light to stay at their place. They're not in town. So I think I'm going to do a little walk up, hit every bar, a little walk back after the game, hit a bunch of bars, and then crash down there. And then I got a little thing to do the next day. But I'm really looking forward to it. This will be the second stadium thing I've been to. I never played in one, but I went to the Carolina one. It was really good, but actually it was excellent. Carolina, Washington, they did a really good job in Carolina other than parking. But I'm not driving anyways, but it'll be a good time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of guys, a lot of alumni there, and it'll be fun to run into some old faces.
It's nice to have a game plan, Commie. At least you got your game plan, Rick. You're going to succeed. That's how you succeed with a nice game plan like that, fella.
I've been thinking about this for like the last 6 weeks since I got invited to this thing. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, I mean, I've made some adjustments. Like part of me doesn't want to stay with Toots a little bit because he's like 40 minutes north, but I love Toots. I'm going to stay there at least one night, maybe on the Sunday night too, but Saturday afternoon and Saturday night, it's going to be on. I can't wait.
By the way, Commie, Feder Tutin's my favorite Russian I played with, by the way. He is he's one of the best of the best. Best.
He's almost not a Russian.
No, he's not a
Other than how he talks a little bit, you can tell a little bit. But yeah,
But what a guy. Say hi to him for me. He's a beauty, bud.
I will. He's a good dude. He's a good man, old Toots.
Commie,
Great career, too, by the way. People forget about Fedor Tootin. That guy was around forever.
Good player.
Yeah, he was a good player. Both ends of the ice, he could play. Yeah, he was solid.
Commie, I wanted to ask you now. Listen, this is probably my favorite thing you do is live from Augusta, the round 3 update. We're entering into 60 games into the NHL season. So Saturday at Augusta is obviously moving day, and round 3 is just that. So when are we going to get that update? Is it coming here in the next few days? Because I love when you throw up the leaderboard. Just guys just hitting the ball so well, compressing it out there in the pine needles of Augusta, my friend.
I appreciate that. It's probably the highlight of my NHL year, too, are the 4 updates for the Green Jacket. I know plus minus is a very, you can make the argument that it is a very stupid stat. There's no question about it. I think there's some value. If your entire team is plus and you're minus 20, I think there's some value to that, and the other way around. But I understand empty netters and all that stuff. I get it too, but I think it's fun. I know the couple years that I was on a terrible team, it was kind of a way to make things a little more interesting and bring a little fun into the room. But yes, the update is coming. To be honest, I don't have the computer skills to put that together. So the guy who does the updates for me, like the actual picture of the leaderboard, his name's Kyle Watson. He lives out in Cape Breton. I've never met him. He was at Twitter. He sent me years ago. He sent it to me. He's like, "Hey, you should do this." I'm like, "That's awesome." So 4 times a year I message Kyle. I think he loves his beers and he loves to golf. So I sent him a message a couple days ago. I just said, "Hey, Kyle, moving day's coming to a close. How about an update by the end of the week?" He's like, "Yeah, no problem." And the cheers little emoji or whatever. So yeah, I actually haven't looked at the leaderboard. I don't know who's leading right now. But I'm assuming it's probably who is leading.
Well, we got Princey here.
It's probably a Shark or a Blackhawk, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was gonna say Connor Murphy from the Blackhawks has got to be up there. Fucking plus minus is always terrible.
That Karashev.
Yeah, so
this guy.
Yeah, Kurashev.
Yeah,
that was your last. That was your last update. It said tough sledding out there in round 2. Surprisingly, not a lot of birdies. Kurashev hit the brakes, and then it's just went on from there. But I love the wording in it. Always, Commie. It's beautiful. It's got a little Hemingway bluntness to it.
Yeah, thank you. I put a little time into that. I try and make it kind of like golf terms a little bit too. And yeah, Karashev hit the brakes because I think he missed about 15 games. So I think he got lucky there a little bit. But the one guy, and I've only had a couple guys kind of comment on it, at least publicly, but I laughed last summer. I don't know him at all, but Mario Ferraro from
Man Jose.
Yeah, he did a podcast, and it just popped up on my feed, or somebody sent it to me or something, and he talked about the Green Jacket, and he had a goal and assist, or he was +2 or something, and then he said, "Suck it, Commie," or whatever on the podcast. Anyways, I've been dying laughing ever since. So, but I saw last time I checked, he was on a little bit of a heater, so he's not scared to make birdies. He's in a great spot. He always has a good lie in San Jose. That's for sure.
Hey, Commie, I just wanted to ask you, we were talking before we brought you on just about the Carolina Hurricanes. You obviously won a Stanley Cup there. And just, I guess, their inability to sign guys. And now with Rantenen there, and there's rumors that they can't sign him. What is it about Carolina having a hard time signing guys? Because guys that have played there like yourself, Justin Williams, I know you guys won a cup, but guys love playing there.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I know it's definitely a thing. I try and get out there, once a year or whatever if I can. And then, Rod Brindamore and Justin Williams have mentioned, they don't talk about it, but just we're trying to get guys here. It's not an easy thing to do. It's a good question. My guess would be, I don't know, first, the positives for me, the team has been good forever. So the rink is packed.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is great. The weather's good. Apparently, I don't have kids, but apparently it's a great place to raise a family. And the city's exploded in the last 20 years. But in saying that, I guess not a traditional hockey market. I think some of it too is you guys could speak to it probably better than I could, but when you come in there, well, I can too. I would play there as a visitor as well. But, when you come in there and play as a visitor, you don't see anything. You kind of hang out at North Hills Mall. you go to the game, and then you leave. So I don't think a whole lot of guys like see much, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. So yeah, those would be my two best guesses, but I do know it's like, I don't know what's going on with Rantenen, but I do know for those guys, it has been kind of a struggle to get them there.
I just want to say it's an unfortunate time because one of the best players in the world all of a sudden dons the Carolina Hurricanes jersey and they take like 2 steps back. And now this commotion before the deadline, it's almost like they had the missing piece. They were always struggling to score. It was a big difference in why they lost the last couple of years in the playoffs. And to get them over the edge was a superstar player like Rantenen. And it's unfortunate because you do see the Ray Whitneys of the world who loved it there. And even our boy Sheldon Walitsky, who throws the Colorado Extreme, event, he spent half his life in Raleigh and loved it. So it's like, it's not the city. It's just, it's unfortunate because Carolina, the winning history that you guys had there, in the early 2000s, it feels like they're close, except they just took 2 steps back. And that's just an unfortunate thing for
Yeah, like, I mean, and I see where, I'm assuming Rantenen, when he came in to play the Carolina Hurricanes, would probably, and he hasn't played there that much, probably came in, stayed at North Hills, went and played the game.
Yeah.
You don't see anything because all the trees are 60 feet high. So you don't see anything at all. You just go to the rink, you hang out in the little mall area, you go to the rink, play the game, you go to the airport, and you're gone. And I'm going to guess, Rantenen probably didn't grow up dreaming of being a Carolina Hurricane. You know what I mean? So, it sounded like the trade caught him by surprise. He loved it in Colorado, very successful in Colorado. All of a sudden, beat it. You're going to Carolina. So I'm sure first time being traded. So I'm sure that's a lot for him to kind of gauge. And, I'm assuming the Hurricanes traded for him wanting to extend him. And hey, look, the new owner has his faults from everything that I hear. And, in some ways, he is very cheap. But one way that he isn't cheap is he's not cheap with the players. Like, if he thinks you're worth it, he'll spend money on the players. Now, he won't spend shit on anything else, but he will spend it on the players. So I can see where he's coming from, too. He's getting hit from all sides here. So, yeah, it'll be, I don't know, but, like, you kind of have to trade him again, don't you, if you can't sign him?
Yeah, that's crazy. You were talking about that earlier, too. That would be crazy if they trade him here in the next week or so.
I know, but, like, I think you
have
don't
to.
You have to? I don't know. I think I would.
Yeah, you can't just trade him for Nations and Jury and then have him leave town at the end of the year. No, you can't do that.
No. So yeah, they've kind of put themselves in a little bit of a pickle. We'll see, I guess.
No, and they have great fans, but everything you're saying about going in there and playing is what I did. It was always my time to rest. I would just fucking go to the game, come out of there. With what the fans are unbelievable. Call me, and they deserve, for guys to play that. It's a great place to play, as you know.
The fans are awesome. Like, don't get me, like, NHL hockey is definitely taking like, college basketball is king there. There's no question about it. But with the success, I mean, you can make the argument that the Carolina Hurricanes over the last 25 years are definitely in the top third of success for teams in the NHL. Like, yeah, there's a few more teams with more cups, and you bring in Pittsburgh, you bring in Chicago. They're not at the top of the list, but they're definitely above half, like well above half. They've been to the conference finals a couple times, won a cup. They've made the playoffs how many years in a row? Like, there's lots of organizations that would kill to have their success in the last, 25 years, really. But yeah, like, the fans do deserve it. They do show up. I mean, now one question would be, I don't know. The Carolina Hurricanes, by and large, have been an excellent program for a long time. Now, if that happened to go away, which hopefully it doesn't, then what happens? I'm not sure. But I think they've been so good for so long now that they got a pretty good base there now. And look, it is a college town. There's no question about it. But the fans are great. And, you might have to work a little harder to have fun on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, but you can find it. Okay, you work, or you can just raise your kids. It's a great thought to raise your kids.
If there's 4 guys that can find it, it's these 4 right here. I tell you that. Turn around and it'll be right behind us. Hello.
Well, call me. I could do this all day with you, buddy. You're an absolute beauty. Last thing for me is I want to ask you, I was walking in the bird's nest there, fucking tuned up at the Wasted Management, and I bumped into our buddy Colton Yost, and he was raving how good your game was, fella, your golf game. He said, call me right now. I think he used the word dangerous out there or something of those lines. So I know you teed it up this morning at Whisper. Is the game that tight, fella?
No, it's not. The quick answer is no. I had a 2-day stretch. I played. I'll find various ways to shoot an 83. That's what's going on right now. Well, Colt, I've played 40, 50 rounds of golf with Colt. Colt's seen me X out on half the holes, and he's seen me shoot a 68 actually a long time ago at Gauzer. So he's seen the full range. What he was talking about, I got invited to play in a pro scratch. Ches Reavy invited me. And anyways, long story short, I'm like, Ches, like, I'm not a pro and I'm not scratch either. Like, I can't play in this. He's like, well, I go, just tell me you want the pot boosted up $600 and I'll find somebody to play with. He's like, yeah, I don't mind. I'm like, okay. Anyways, I went in and played, and for 2 days, and this is from the back tees, so we're talking 7,500 yards. Like, and I was nervous. I'm like, man, my partner, I brought in Dale Howardchuk's kid, Eric Howardchuk, played on the Canadian Tour, good player. And I'm like, Eric, because I had to find somebody that's a pro but that doesn't care about winning because we're not going to win. And so he was happy to come play. But long story short, for 2 days, 36 holes, hit my driver all the time other than the par threes. I only hit one ball in the desert, and I was pounding this thing. I shot a 76, 77, which from those tees for me was incredible. Like, I played great. But let me tell you, the wheels have fallen off. I'm lost again. Lost.
Kami, last
But it's nice of Colt to say that. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fired up for you.
Yeah.
Kami, last one I got for you. You're a local AZ guy, Scottsdale. You appreciate a nice establishment and or dive bar. You've probably been to a ton of them all over the world. But where does the Dirty Dog Saloon rank in terms of just a solid establishment there, my friend?
Yeah, the Dirty Dog Saloon is, I like it when it's dark.
Yep.
There's some talents in there. I don't need $25 cocktails either. I don't need that. The Dirty Dog would be up there. I remember my first time, I kept hearing about the Dirty Dog, and I'm like, what the? I drive by it on Scottsdale Road. And finally, I went there. This is a few years ago now. I'm like, what is it? I walk in, and the next thing you know, you got the bartenders like dancing on the bar, hanging from the rafters. I'm like, oh my God. And you never know what you're gonna run into there. But it would be near the top of my list. Dirty Dog, and I like the Rooster here too.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've been there. The Rooster, it's a little tamer, the Rooster, but that's a good spot as well.
Yeah, I just love the dog too. It's the guy checking IDs out front. He's like this, biker gang guy. He actually showed me he has nipple clamps out there, just in case the females need them. And then you walk into the establishment. The place has sandpaper, but the best thing is just all the bras hanging from the rafters. Just honor him and violence. So they just respect the game, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is a great spot. They'll let you in too. Like, they are pretty tight at the door, but whatever. Just as long as you're of age. But they'll let you have some fun in there too. Then they'll kick your ass out. But it is definitely a good spot
for sure.
Kami, do you have a motorcycle there? Do you ride a bike there?
Do I?
Yeah.
You know what? I have been on the back of a dirt bike once in my life. That was at my lake cabin in Minnesota. I'd never been on a bike before. I had plans to actually, after my second year, I was spending summers in Grand Forks, and I thought having a motorbike could be cool. So I actually set up like to go take the class and learn how to do it and all that. Cause I'm like, man, it looks awesome. Then I got traded to Anaheim, and I was busy, and it never happened. But the only time I've ever been on a bike was a guy brought a dirt bike over to my lake cabin. So I'm like, I'm going to ride this thing. So I fired the thing up, and obviously I hit too much gas. Long story short, I went flying. Thank God my garage door was open. I was basically running. I did a pop-a wheelie or whatever. I was running behind, and I went flying basically almost through the end of my garage. And from that point forward, I haven't touched one. I got enough problems. I don't need that. I wish I did because it looked cool.
Let's just keep you in the golf cart safe and sound, Kami. We'll just keep you in the golf cart safe and sound, fella.
Yeah, I think so. I got enough problems. That motorbike stuff, I think that would bring some more issues in for me.
I know. It's just that Scottsdale is a good spot. I
joined a
biker gang with Aaron Downey there when I was hurt one year. And then there's a great dive bar in Cave Creek where all the bikers go. And
Cave Creek is like, there's Bike Creek there all the time. I was just up there last weekend, like, bikes everywhere there. I do think it is incredibly cool. I don't think it's going to be for me in this lifetime.
Yeah. Save the body for golf, fella.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, hey, call me. Listen, buddy. Like I said, we could do this all day with you, buddy. We appreciate you. You're always great to Missin Curfew. You're a legend, my man. Have fun in Columbus. Execute that game plan, fella. I know you will. Yes, have a good time, my man. I always appreciate you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Great to see you guys, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, Commie.
Welcome back to Missin Curfew. Up dog, Jay Swish. I just said to you boys in the break there, I wish I could hang out with that guy more than I do. Bumped into him at the Wasted Management in the Bird's Nest there. He was pinned. I was pinned. Swishy was pinned. Mitchie was pinned. He's the beauty. He's too good for the game, and he's still living his best life. You know, he's so excited to go to Columbus, just get fucking in one, as he would say. Don't you ever change, Commie.
Yeah, and boys, it dates back to watching him play at the University of North Dakota. Obviously, a lot of my family from North Dakota. So when he had that big afro, watching the Fighting Sioux, and obviously followed his career through winning Stanley Cups, and then finally being able to meet with, just meet him and hang out, and just a funny bastard, boys. The one-liners, I just love how he talks, that low voice. He's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's a guy with a plan, right? And by the way, he mentions Columbus and how, like, there's some people shit on it. Well, I'm guilty of that. I've shit on it before. But he talking it up, like, right now with that game plan, he's kind of got me, like, kind of itching to get back there. Yeah, I might look at flights tomorrow. Yeah, I know Big Brento's in the desert, but fuck, it might be a nice time to go see the Patty Kane showtime and C-Bus work their magic. But, yeah, as always, listen, he's one of the best guys in the league. Says it as it is, which we appreciate, and always fun to have him on, fellas.
Yeah, well said, boys. Jay Swish, I apologize, but you came out here. I've been sick on you. We'll get you back out in the studio again. Up dog, thanks for holding the fort for me. Like I said, boys, great week of workout content for you boys. I mean, it was impressive. It was impressive from all angles. I was just like, these guys are really pros.
We worked out twice.
You went to yoga, played tennis, and worked out, did you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
2.5. That's good.
One activity, a couple workouts, but 3 overall sweats. Yeah, that's good.
That was good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Good on you, boys. So, Jay Swish, enjoy the Ducks game. Ducks like rain. Up dog. Thank you. I'm Big Princey. All Pass Media. That was Missin Curfew.
Fellas.